This is Dream Job Dynamic, episode 002, where the subject of this week's career-boosting conversation may sound a little bit crazy. Calling this the definition of job search insanity. Stick around.
This is the Dream Job Dynamic podcast, dedicated to discovering your personally perfect dream job in 7 simple steps. Whether you're a boomer, a beginner, or a somewhere in betweener. Whether your plan is to ramp up your routine, ease off the gas a bit, or to take a side road in a totally new direction. With a dream job discovery as your target, you'll learn to define it, locate it, and land it. So, when you're ready to boost your bad self, let's set you up to be discovered with a proven process that takes very little time and doesn't cost a dime. You can do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone. Boom that.
So welcome in or welcome back, as the case may be, to our conversation and to the community dedicated to your personally perfect dream job discovery. My name is David Freeman, and I'm a boomer boss and a career coach, sharing what I've learned about the job search process during my first 40 years in management. The goal here is to walk through a few simple steps to eliminate the most common job search mistakes and missteps that plague most of your fellow seekers. We call them fondly your future former competition. This week's topic was inspired by a quote from Albert Einstein that we know as the definition of insanity. Experts tell us that regardless of their experience or education, most seekers are certain to fumble their job search process simply by forgetting to remember that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, that's a little goofy. The message I would share with you is very simple. If you are not happy and successful in your current position, then you would be wise to remember how you found that job in the first place. If your first instinct is to quickly brush off, tweak, and reboot your old resume, I urge you to consider a slightly different plan. Now, let's be a little more clear. If you think you can turn your career story into a bestseller by tacking on a new chapter and pushing print, then stop right where you are and step away from the job board. Okay, that may be just a little bit melodramatic. I'll admit, if your story has been an adventure filled with success and milestone moments, then my advice would be a little different. If in fact your past search got amazing results, then by all means ramp it up and repeat the same search process one more time. If it worked in the past, do that again with gusto. If it's not broken, don't fix it. On the other hand, I do realize that if it had worked in the past, you and I probably wouldn't be having this conversation. So just on the off chance that your last job was somewhere between disappointing and disastrous, maybe we need to have a little talk. In either case, it's actually a good idea to consider your previous experience before you engage the autopilot, to simply clean up your old resume, rinse and repeat the same old process. In most cases, it can be proven that your process was and will be your problem. So let me just remind you of the title of this website, podcast, blog, and Facebook group. It's 7 simple steps to dream job discovery. So before you get discouraged, I promise that we'll get to and through those steps in short order. You will discover opportunities that have been hidden in plain sight, and you'll find yourself with options and opportunities that your fellow seekers will simply overlook. So stick with me. I can confirm that most career coaches would agree that rushing out the door with fingers crossed and hoping to find something better this time around is not a great plan. Plain and simple, it may be time to change your routine to get better results. While most future seekers will continue to launch into cyberspace without a plan or a target, they will likely find a job. The problem remains that without a better plan, the next job will simply be that, and not much more. A job doing some things somewhere for someone. Odds are that if you were to catch up to them down the road to ask how they'd rate their new opportunity, I think you might find that nothing much had changed. We'd find that they would say, it's just another job saying, It's okay. It pays the rent. It's just a job. That's about it. It is what it is. With all due respect, ouch. Not a good answer. Our goal, I can promise, is to do better than that by preparing an individualized process that builds on your own passions and potential. The objective is to find the right dream job opportunities within your area of interest. You'll discover organizations hidden in plain sight where more than one dream job boss candidate will have openings that will fit you perfectly. So a little bit about polishing the process. We hear it said that anything worth doing is worth doing well. Assuming that to be true, it's a little surprising that most job seekers don't give a little more thought to one of the most important activities in their work life, the search process. In order to find a dream job, you need to have a clearly defined target. The simple solution to avoid job search insanity is to plan your search. Then search following the plan. In order to know where you're going, we're told you need to have a map, which is a clever abbreviation for a massive action plan. Personally, I think anticipating a need to take a massive action is a little off-putting and will cause most of your fellow seekers to take the low road to gather the low-hanging fruit. Before you jump on that particular bandwagon, let me share a different perspective about replacing massive with manageable. The actions needed in a successful search are neither difficult, challenging, and certainly don't require massive action. We've broken down the process into our own version that I'd prefer to call your manageable action plan. It's still a map, but it will lead you up to the boss's office instead of sliding down and through the rabbit hole that your friends and fellow seekers will encounter. Predictably, your fellow seekers will blast out of the starting blocks, going full speed ahead in no particular direction. By taking just a bit more time to fuel up with the right information and to create an actual flight plan, you can highlight a map, an MAP, with prearranged stops at specific points of interest along the way. You can learn to identify in advance a select group of targeted employers with opportunities, and your search will be more effective by being intentional instead of accidental. It gets better. When we pay attention to our life's lessons, as Maya Angelou used to say, we can do better when we know better. There are very few things that we can learn to master in life that don't take at least a little bit of practice. As you may have experienced, even walking and chewing gum at the same time can require at least a little bit of trial and error. Even our ability to speak, read, and write improves over time. Riding a bike, making friends, mastering a craft, for example, all begin awkwardly, but we improve by trying, observing the results, and making adjustments. The same lesson applies to dream job discovery. It will take some practice, and you could certainly figure it out over time if you continue to learn by failing forward. The problem is that when we're in job search mode, there is obviously a sense of urgency, possibly even panic. That short circuits our ability to think calmly and search systematically. Let's consider how Albert's observations can apply. If, for example, your goal was to get from point A to point B, and every day you found a door locked, blocking your way, you'd have a number of choices. You could give up and go home. You could make yourself comfortable where you are and wait for somebody to open the door, or here's the thought, you could knock on the door, you could look for a key, you could call someone on the inside, and if all else fails, you could actually look for another door or climb through a window. What a genius concept. In this scenario, there's an obstacle, the door, and a logical path to success. What if that locked door was keeping you from an important life-changing meeting on the inside? Let's say on the other side of that imaginary door sat your personally selected dream job boss holding a job opening with your name on it. If you found yourself at that doorway to a dream job, would you keep testing the lock, or would you run around to the window? The purpose of our conversation is to offer a variety of simple solutions to fast-track your mastery of the job search process by taking a more proactive approach. This time around, I hope you'll consider an observation by Henry Ford that points out a common problem and even suggests a solution. He noted, if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. Now, If you've been blessed with success because of the actions you've taken, then good on you and keep doing that. On the other hand, here's the moral to this particular story. If what you're doing isn't working, here's an idea. Stop it and try something else. If you can't figure it out by yourself, then find someone who is successful at it, at your aspiration, and duplicate their efforts. Finally, if decoding the path to your passion is unclear or elusive, then consider being direct and asking a successful seeker for some directions or suggestions. If those first 3 points don't alter your ascension, then stick with me. This gets better on steroids. Don't duplicate the disappointments of others. As we said, by missing the message or failing to consider its value, most job seekers will approach a search by automatically updating that old resume and launching into full blast search mode at the first possible opportunity without preparation, planning, or a prayer. After analyzing and personally practicing the job search process myself for over 40 years and while coaching many seekers through to successful dream job discovery, here's a few things I can tell you for certain. First, if you haven't updated and optimized your job search process recently, simply updating your old resume, bad idea. Second, more specifically, if you have never had a dream job, then chances are duplicating your previous job search process is likely to land you in, guess what, another job, just like the other job that you lost, left, or can't wait to leave behind. Number 3, experts tell us that the vast majority of all working humans, 80% in fact, never had a dream job, don't know how to find one, and never really expect to get one. So before you ask anyone for job search advice, your first question should be, do you now, or have you ever had a dream job? I'm just saying. Number 4, this is a topic we'll cover in detail in upcoming posts, podcasts, and on the Facebook conversation. Let's consider the most commonly fumbled resource that overlooks the majority of all opportunities, the overrated cyber job board. Job seekers expect too much from them, while at the same time they're failing to use them to their maximum potential. That's the worst of both worlds. Hopefully, you'll join me in the Dream Job Dynamic discussion as it continues, and we'll break down and ramp up your job search master plan, one step at a time, and considering those job boards as a tool. However, just in case we don't happen to meet again, I want you to consider this cautionary note about job boards. First, you would be well advised to consider 2 variations on this 80-20 rule. There's a lot, and I mean really a lot of competition on any job board, regardless of the job category. You need to be aware of the fact, as estimated by industry experts, that fully 80%, but now pay attention here, 80% of all job seekers count on job boards as their only source for finding a job. That's a lot of people standing in line. So before you jump in, be prepared. It's going to be crowded in there. If you want to know where to find the highest concentration of competition, pick a new job board. Okay, I promise there's a happy ending, but I do hope you consider this other 80-20 variation. At any given time in any job category, fully 80% of all jobs available are never posted to a job board, are never advertised, and actually are never promoted publicly. Bummer. Actually, you can use those estimates to your advantage. When targeting your personally perfect dream job connections, we'll break it down in upcoming sessions to know how to find those missing 80% that are hidden in plain sight. At first glance, the path to dream job discovery may seem somewhere between unlikely and impossible, but we're here to introduce a proactive process that will effectively improve both your vision and your visibility in the job market. In addition to proper preparation we'll be presenting, remember that in any challenging situation, having a positive attitude can spell the difference between success and much less. Certainly, since our goal is to line up multiple interview opportunities with your personally selected dream job boss candidates, your attitude will absolutely affect your altitude. To that end, you can be certain the proper preparation will give you the confidence to face the future with a can-do attitude. Your positive energy will absolutely impress employers and confuse the heck out of your competition. To paraphrase a message by Henry Ford, for this is one you can take to the bank, it goes like this: if you think you can, you might. If you think you can't, you're right. So let's dive in a little deeper. An important suggestion to keep in mind is that in the midst of the job search, as in life, there's always a room for improvement, and that learning from our own mistakes is essential. Taking that to the next level, an even better plan is to be observant in order to learn from the mistakes of others. What a concept. All the gain and none of the pain. What I'm suggesting here is, generally speaking, based on your target condition, if your last search landed you in a sucky situation, it's not necessarily a reflection on your future potential. It may simply mean that previously you conducted a sucky search, and we can fix that. Did I mention the 7 simple steps? So stick with me. The good news is that moving from sucky to successful is not rocket science, and I will continue to remind you, it takes very little time, doesn't cost a dime to ramp up your routine. Dream job discovery is a process that can be easily mastered. If you'll first accept the fact that improvement is important, not optional, and it is achievable. One positive point that applies to your condition and not to your future competition is that you and I are having this conversation. You can be certain that most of your fellow seekers will have already blasted off into job search panic mode without a thought or a prayer and a total lack of preparation for finding a dream job. It gets better. As far as I'm concerned, you've already taken a giant step in the positive direction by coming this far. From this point and beyond, we'll try to limit our references to the former competition unless it serves as a reminder of what not to do. Trust me, you can learn from their mistakes without following them down the path to nowhere in particular. Okay, here's the first reference already. In addition, relying on yesterday's resume to sell themselves, most of your fellow seekers will put all their hopes for being selected as the perfect 1 in a million applicant in a job board lottery. We've talked about it before. Repeating a good point, their predictable results will be to land some job doing something somewhere. Honestly, that's a whole lot of mystery to hang on the hopes and dreams for a job. So final thought, on your mark, get set, stop. Stop following the crowd. This time around, our objective is for you to be your best, not like the rest. Sound like a plan? Now, in preparation for your search, I hope you'll stop by our home base at dreamjobdynamic.com, where you'll find a growing Facebook community in which we can discuss common questions and action plans. Also on the site, you'll find the Dream Job Dynamic blog and podcast, and an ever-growing collection of free dream job discovery resources. One thing I'd like to share with you is our quick start guide to dream job discovery in 7 simple steps. That's the fast track tool that you can find all the directions you need to set your search on a productive course. Stop by dreamjobdynamic.com, download your copy. Once you've had a chance to walk through the quick start guide, if you have any unanswered questions or comments, large or small, you can always reach out to me on email, david@dreamjobdynamic.com, on our website, or through social media platform of your choice by simply searching for #DreamJobDynamic. As a part of my Pay It Forward promise to you, I'm at your service for a free coaching call if needed and a courtesy resume review from my boomer boss perspective. Just a little double check before you hit the go button. If the topic in today's post hits any of your hot buttons, I hope you'll join the conversation at dreamjobdynamic.com, where our mission statement is, as captured through a thought by Zig Ziglar, you can have anything in life you want if you will help enough others get what they want. To that, I'll add my own Pay It Forward.